Greetings and thank you for joining us at soundmoneycampaign.com. Our guest today is Jay Taylor of jtaylormedia.com. He is a resource investment expert and stock analyst. Jay, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure to be with you.
Jay, many have now commented about this 8:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time takedown in the gold price that almost happens daily. Are you tracking this as well? And if so, what do you make of it?
You know, I don't watch it as closely as some of my friends at the Gold Antitrust Action Committee does. For example, I believe that there is an effort to, as part of this propaganda campaign to keep people believing in paper money. And certainly if gold were making new highs all the time, as it had been there for a couple of years after Lehman Brothers, well, then I think, people would be losing confidence in the paper. So, again, I don't know to what extent somebody, Bernanke and people at the New York Fed get together and decide they're going to hit the markets. It seems like that's what's happening, and they're certainly bullion banks are an oligopoly for sure. I mean, there's only a handful of these guys that control these markets. So, whether they're acting in their own self-interest and talk the market down. And then short the market, make money on the downside, go back in and buy it when it's down, and then have some analysts come out and talk it up, and then I think they're doing that. I think they're playing games and manipulating markets in that regard. Whether somebody's sitting up there at a higher level and formally dictating that kind of market behavior, I don't know, and I think you couldn't ever prove it. But it wouldn't surprise me. All I know is that gold is real money, and the stuff they're creating out of nothing is a fraud. And so I like companies that produce the real thing, because I think in the long run, the real thing will win.
Gold was down around 6% for the past 5 trading days, but the mining stocks are down anywhere from 10 to 25%. Is this an opportunity to begin entering some positions in mining companies?
Well, I think people have. I think the answer to your question is yes. It's a good opportunity. I think probably the shares are. It's a more opportune time to buy the shares than the bullion at this point in time, because the shares have been hit so much harder than the bullion. That said, we are seeing a lot of the analysts scaling back their projected profits because with the rise in commodity prices since Lehman Brothers, more recently over the last year or so, when gold has not gone anywhere. Sort of a sideways market, we've seen the real price of gold come down, and that has squeezed some of the profits to an extent from the mining companies. So I think more than ever, people have to be very selective in their purchases of gold mining companies. I like to start out with those that are producing. I like the streaming companies. I like some of the other smaller producers that have cash flow. But where the really big money is going to be made, where the big profits will be made, will be with the successful juniors, the ones that find enormous amounts of wealth in the ground. But there, you're also dealing with more risk. You're also dealing with companies that have to go out and raise capital in the markets. So you want to be very careful. And Brazil Resources, it's a favorite of mine among the exploration companies because of the quality of management, the ability to raise capital, and to select some really great projects, and also to attract the talent, which Amir Adnani is able to do with Brazil Resources. I mean, it all boils down to management in the end. And not only does Brazil have Amir leading the show, but he's attracted great talent, and he's also attracted some good financing sources. In fact, an institution in Brazil that should be very, very helpful in more ways than one to Brazil Resources.
Jay, what about protecting yourself from the U.S. government? Is it wise to seek out companies listed on the TSX with projects outside of the U.S.? For example, the one you just mentioned you said was in Brazil.
Well, I think that's a very good observation. Is it's good to have your portfolio spread out geographically, diversified geographically, and I mean, there are countries around the world that give me the willies. Brazil is not one of them at the top of that list. So I think that we're looking at Brazil as a good place to have some of your assets parked. So that would be another reason to own a quality mining company like Brazil Resources. There are others down there too, but that's one that's at the top of my list.
Jay, the spotlight was on gold this week, but silver also really took a big hit. With silver being both an industrial metal and a precious metal, do you